Hey guys, Eric here. Today I'm working on a 2022 Ram 2500 Cummins. Now, my plans are to run the auxiliary switch for the plow lights. So when I bought the plow, it's a V plow Boss. They have a little switch on the dash for truck and plow, so that when you run your headlights off the plow, you just put it on plow mode. Truck registers that it's on plow, and so on and so forth. Now, when I got the plow installed, I asked the guys from the dealer if they can use auxiliary switches on the dash out of the truck instead of wiring in another plug on the dash. And of course, they're like, no, it can't be done. It's a certain plug or it's a certain switch or whatever the case may be. And I just don't like that. I paid extra for auxiliary switches. Now, this is not a construction truck, so I don't really need the switches, but it was just in case. Like this. So I want to be able to push the button on the auxiliary switches so that the plow is there. Then there's no other aftermarket wire. So I'm going to show it really quick what the switch looks like, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so here's the truck plow button. So when you put it down, the truck registers that the plow is there, and you can continue using, sorry camera, you can continue using the proper switches for the headlights, low beam, high beam, and the truck just does what it needs to do so that it's using those wires. Now I have those auxiliary switches that I'd like to wire up. I've already done a continuity test down here, and this switch is literally just an on-off switch. So when you turn it to truck, it's basically like it's off, so it doesn't send a signal. It doesn't allow the signal to go through. When you put it on plow, now it finishes a circuit and then allows the power to go through, or the signal. So those auxiliary switches are going to do the same thing. So essentially what I want to do is wire them up. Now the biggest problem is, so the biggest problem is once I have it set up like that, every time I come in the truck, I'm going to have to click those switches. There's also there's some that are ignition switched, and there are some that are just constant power. So I think I should be able to light them up. Maybe. Oh yeah, so that's a constant power. So I don't even have the truck on. I have no key fob, so I can't even really show the other ones. So 1 and 2 I think are like that, and 3 is not. So those will be powered all the time. So in theory, if I left that on, I think I'm going to have power to my plow all the time, which I think maybe when the truck is off, it doesn't even matter. But that little LED light stays on, and I'm not sure if that would be enough to drain my battery. I'm assuming maybe a couple days. But these ones are not. So those are all auxiliary switched. Ignition switched. So I get power when the key is on, which is the ones that I want to use. The only problem with those is it doesn't have the memory of when it was on. So if you have the plow on for a week, and every time you get in the truck, you're going to have to hit those switches. Whereas the rocker switch that they put in, you can just leave it on plow and it stays on. Or if you have the plow on all year round, every time you get in the truck, you'll have to hit those buttons, which could be a pain in the ass for most guys. For me, the plow comes off every time I'm done doing my yard or going around. I'm not a commercial plow. It's not a commercial plow truck, so I'm going to go ahead and wire them up in the auxiliary switch. It's going to be a lot cleaner, and anybody else that's using these trucks as just a personal truck, well, you'll be able to see how it's done. Not to mention, that's going to be the same for anything else you wire up, on, off. Alright, so in my video I had mentioned about the auxiliary switches that when you turn the truck on, they would shut off once you shut the truck off and turn it back on. Now, I did a quick Google search, and guys were talking about going under the commercial settings of the truck. Then you can adjust how the auxiliary switches work. So on my truck, the 2 first ones were constant power, and the 3 last ones were ignition power. I want ignition power because I want my plow to be only working when the truck is on. Now, when you go into auxiliary switches settings, you can make it momentary, you can make it on off, you can make it constant power, you can make it what's the other word I'm looking for? You can make it where it shuts off when you shut the truck off. Ignition power, or what's it? Ignition power or constant power. Holy cow. Now, another thing that I was able to find was you can make it where it's like the memory. So if you turn it on when the truck is on, it's on. When you turn it off, then when you turn the truck on and off, it's still on. Anyways, I'll walk through it really quick and you guys will be able to see. Alright, so commercial settings. We're going to go on there. And then 000, so I've never changed my passcode. So it's going to stay at 0. That'll allow you to enter your auxiliary settings. Now, I'm going to set number 1, so we're going to go on it. So you can set all 1 through 6. I want to set my number 1. So type, you're going to have latching, I think is what it says. And momentary. So momentary would be just you push the button, the minute you let go, it shuts it off. I'm not sure what you would use that for, but there's got to be a reasoning why they have it. I'm sure there's some guys that want that. As long as you hold the button, I guess if you want to flash someone, you want to have a light that's going to flash people. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not really sure why you would use that, so I'm going to leave it at latching, I guess is what it says. Power source. This is where you're going to set battery ignition, so constant power ignition. I'm going to leave it at ignition. Then last state. So when you turn the truck on and off, will it stay? I want it to stay on when I shut the truck off. Or I want it to stay on when I turn the truck back on. If I set it to off when I shut the truck off, it's going to go back to off. So we're going to leave it on. So now we're all saved. Everything stays. So now, we can exit all this. Sorry about the camera really quick. We can exit all this. So now when I shut the truck off, that light's going to shut off. Truck is off. Then open and close the door. So everything's completely off. Now I'm going to turn it back on. And the light is on. So when I set it up with my plow, the headlights will be tied to the plow on and off as I turn the key on and off. Alright, so I'm working on the truck. I'm getting the plow switch ready. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, because I can either run a second relay on the switch itself, so power up the relay and use it as the switch, if you will, with the auxiliary switch inside the truck, or I could tie into the Boss relays and not use a secondary switch, which is what I'd like to do, because that way there I have less moving parts. So we have the auxiliary wire wired up. Sorry for the bad camera angle. I just used some of these wires with alligator clips to just test and make sure that everything is going to work the way I want it to. Now it's wired up to the black and purple wire like I mentioned. And when I go into the truck here, sorry the beeping. Now we're hooked up to auxiliary. Auxiliary on. So the plow is on. I'm going to shut the auxiliary switch off. Plow mode is off. Back on. And that is it. Now the auxiliary switch is on. I'm going to shut the truck off. I just want to show that it's all programmed to work with the switch to be on every time. And auxiliary one is now my plow switch. There she is. On, off, or no, sorry, off, on. So it's on now, off, and that's it. And that's pretty much it. So the Boss dealer told me that it can't be done. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because it's too hard to do or what the case may be, but it's literally as easy as that. It took me about 20 minutes to figure out how I was going to wire it up. I was going to use a secondary relay. Now I figured out that it's as simple as getting into that wire and powering it up. It doesn't have to go through the relays that the Boss plow has, or the Boss dealership was mentioning. And it's literally as simple as plugging in that auxiliary switch that they offer, running that wire straight to the black and purple wire that Dodge offers. It almost seems so easy that Dodge could have almost put that in their factory display on the truck and made it an option, because I didn't even touch nothing to do with the plow. It's straight right from an existing plug that Dodge offers right to the existing wire that Plow Prep Group gives you. So I feel like if you order a Plow Prep Group or whatever it's called on a brand new 2500 Ram truck, it should just have that wire there. You shouldn't have to click that on and off. Maybe it's because the different brands don't offer that. This is just the way the Boss Plow does it, but it's literally that simple. And I think it's a lot nicer. It's a lot cleaner. It's cool. I got auxiliary switches that are tied into the truck. I'm just going to use that. Why am I going to have a secondary switch that is a little bit ugly? And there she is. That doesn't look like it's meant to be there when I paid for those. So that concludes my plow auxiliary switch video. Hope you liked it. If you liked it, subscribe. And hopefully I'm going to make some more videos. As long as I got people watching, I will make some more. Cheers.